Hello, everyone, and welcome to this hopefully extremely useful presentation about how to have fun in a game jam or comment avoir du plaisir dans un game jam presented by me, Frédérik Généreux. The point of this about 20-minute presentation should be to get you in a good mindset for doing a game jam. If it's your first time, it should prove useful. If it's not, it can still help you get into that great mindset for getting started and having the most fun possible that you can while doing this game jam. So let's get started right away. The first thing is, who am I? So you know who's talking to you right now. My name is Frédérik Généreux. At the moment, I've been working for 4 years, or about 4 years, at Ubisoft Montreal as a character artist, which means I model characters. So hair, heads, clothes. If you think about T-pose characters that are in 3D, I do everything that goes on them. So creating characters for AAA games, which means games with big budgets. Then I also did 6 game jams over the course of my university studies, which is where I learned how to make games in 3D and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I have decent experience in how game jams work in terms of their problems, their challenges, and what to kind of look for when you're doing them. And you can see the 6 games I made. You can also go play them if you look at the links at the bottom. If you can go write those down online, you can go see what I did for better or for worse. And I also studied music in Cégep and university as kind of another interesting thing that can add to my bag of knowledge if you ever see me during the game jam and want to talk to me. So that's who I am. And today what we're going to be looking at is going to be a 3-step thing. So first, game jam basics, really, where do we start? How do you even start a game project? What should you think about while doing this? Secondly, failing fast, which is kind of the name of the game when doing a game jam. So what should my expectations be for a game jam? And finally, having fun. So this is more of a mindset philosophical the philosophical part of the presentation, which is how can I be a good teammate, help others, all that kind of stuff, what goes around that topic. So let's get started on game jam basics. So the first thing is, how do you get started on ideas for a game? You get to the game jam, you're in front of a computer. You'll probably have been given a theme on which you can or can not go off of, but it's oftentimes more fun to take that theme and run with it. So you're like, okay, but then what do we even do from there? So first thing you could try to think of a game you like. How can you recreate an extremely simple version of that thing? If I like Stardew Valley, how could I make a mechanic of I just go plant like some kind of seed and try to get some crop from it? That would be the first basic line of, okay, I'm going to try and make that thing work in my game. So think small, get the very first necessary element of your game working before moving to anything else. I'll come back on that thing a bit later, but as I said, planting a seed and getting some kind of thing out of it. If that little first idea doesn't work, don't jump on anything else. Really go step by step and make sure everything works along the way. If everything is broken and you try to build on top of it, it'll tumble down in the end, kind of. So in that vein as well, play as soon as possible and often. So always start your game, play around with it and see if it works, see if things feel right while you're doing that process of creating tiny bits of mechanics and gameplay at a time. And I also have a couple of brainstorming exercises to get the thinking gears rolling. The first one we might even do together if you're stuck at some point. But the ideas is really to associate 2 ideas from 2 categories together and see how they fit according to the theme. So an example I heard once is think of an animal or like an insect or whatever, and people gave as an answer bed bugs. And then think of a sport, and people said, oh, water polo. And so the idea for the game could have been bed bugs in a waterbed playing water polo. You probably never would have thought of bed bugs in a waterbed playing a sport, but now because you just took 2 random categories, took 2 interesting things from those categories and mashed them together, you have an idea for like a sports game. So doing that thing can be very, very good at not going down a trodden path of like, oh, we'll have a mustachioed plumber jumping on turtles, which It's weird, but it's it's been seen before, if you know what I mean. And the second thing I have is a website for a random idea generator. You could probably just like fiddle around on Google and find a similar website. It just gives you ideas, and it's completely legal to do that if it sparks something in your imagination of I don't know, a leopard with boxers, and that fits with the theme for some reason, and it gives you an idea. Good, then you have a way of starting doing mechanics and starting to build your game. I once heard in a game jam I did, someone said, take your idea, cut it in half once you have something, and then once that's done, cut it in half again. Now you have something that's probably doable for your game jam. So what this means is that usually we always think too big. It might be the most obvious things that mentors will tell you. We're like impassioned, we want to do a bunch of things, and we've played games that we know are huge and have a bunch of mechanics, and we want to recreate that, and that kind of sentiment is perfect. It means you have like a drive to do games, but it's not it won't help you learn and make a game that works in the case of a game jam. So we have to think really small, and what we think is small is usually already way too big. So mentors can help you really narrow things down to the basic elements that are going to give you a game that probably works in the end and you'll have fun playing around with. So keep it in mind. Smaller, much smaller is much better. And one step at a time we build our game. Then how to get a good rhythm going. This is kind of what I've been saying right now. So you brainstorm, as I said, with any tool you have to find strange ideas that spark creativity and ideas you wouldn't have had otherwise. Take the time with it. Also, it's not a rush when you start the game jam after 5 minutes to start programming. You can like bask in stuff and have fun playing around with ideas. Once you have something that you're like, okay, it's inspiring and we think we can go somewhere with it, settle on that simple, tiny idea and then develop a working mechanic. Make sure it works. You just want to have something that you can take the controller or the mouse and keyboard and play with it. And then take a breath, I said, which is true. Play test it. So play with your team, maybe other people. Ask around if you're like, can you come play and just tell us, does it feel good? Is it strange? Do you understand what's going on? And then with that feedback, you'll already be able to be like, okay, our first idea works. Then we can build the second mechanic on top and keep digging on our game. And this should be like a loop, right? Once you're done playtesting, you go back to a little bit of brainstorming of, okay, so we got this, then what should be added logically? And you build. And to finish off this point, this ensures that you'll always have a working game. You'll never end up with something that's just a bunch of broken parts that don't really coalesce. Even if the game jam stops and you run out of time, well, you'll have the last working thing you worked on, kind of. Second part is failing fast. This is a bit more about like perspective, maybe a mentality which you could implement when you go in a game jam, and that might help you take the most out of it. So then fail again. Learning is the biggest takeaway you can get from a game jam. That should have been my tagline at the top of the presentation. But like, what does fail fast mean? It means that doing a game jam, the main goal is doing things you've never done, challenging yourself positively, not like with a load of stress, but like, I've never programmed a game. I'm going in and I'm trying it out. With that time allowed and people around you to help you, you will just learn, fail consistently, like try and do something. It doesn't work. It's a mess. What do you get out of that? You learn, okay, this doesn't work. I'll try another way. And then it works. So you're like, okay, good. It took me an hour. I failed and learned from it, and then you hit the next wall where you fail and you learn something. And that kind of incubator of failing repeatedly, learning a bunch of things is the best kind of motor to learn extremely quickly. And to me, at least, that's the most incredible thing about a game jam. You'll never get that amount of experience in such a short time by doing that process of hitting all the walls, but like fast. And it's less annoying than spending years doing those kinds of walls, but less fast, you know. It's a great place to experiment, try stuff out, see what works, see what doesn't, fail fast again. It goes into that kind of lane. Develop your self-teaching skills. So go online, use Google, use AI if it helps you program, because it's a good tool for those technical kinds of means. But explore. There's a lot of stuff online you can fetch to learn, and it's a good habit to develop of like, I'm stuck. How can I unblock myself and learn? How can I best search for the solution and learn by my own self? It's really, really important for doing games because the answers are out there most times, and you can find them if you develop that good practice. And the most incredible thing for the Dingo Game Jam is that you have mentors on site, which is something I never had while doing game jams. So they can unblock you. They're going to tell you exactly where you should be heading for your game. If it's like, okay, you're way off track, go in this road, it's going to really help you. If you're stuck programming wise, art wise, 3D wise, 2D wise, whatever it is, you have like experimented people to help you. So really try and like use that as much as you can. Don't be shy to go reach out. We're here for that, and it's going to help you fail fast, even faster, which is always good for you learning and experimenting, which is the point of the jam. So in terms of expectations for your games, if it's the first time, this might be even more important to you. But try and forget about making a good game. Try making a game that works. I know that every time I did a game, I was like, okay, we're going to do, I don't know, like Monster Hunter completely. It's going to be like we're fighting monsters in 3D. It's going to be amazing. And then you realize that that takes years and hundreds of people to do that. Hence why if your game is completely busted up and like the balancing is totally off, but it works, the mechanics, you can make your character jump on platforms and get to the end of the level, it's probably the best thing you can aim for. And next time you're going to do a jam, it's going to be better because of that experience you'll have learned. So do it step by step, as I said, with working blocks, and try and make it good. But if it's not good, it doesn't matter. That's not the point. The point is learning, experimenting, and learning that way of working, kind of. Find the fun in your game. You can break the mechanics however you want. You can make your character on a platformer move extremely fast. If that's funny, why not? Experiment. Play around with it. It doesn't need to be Mario. It doesn't need to be Zelda. It can be whatever you want. You have the game in your hands. Then what happens if your game is not functional by the end? I mean, it can be a bit disheartening because you're like, okay, we worked for 2 days and the game doesn't even work. Doesn't really matter. You did the point of the game jam, which is you learned, you experimented, and you got some great knowledge out of it. It happened to me. It happened to a bunch of people I know that our games were like not even functional. The best thing to do is laugh it off and really think about the point of here was to learn and to challenge myself to do that kind of doing a game, which you might not have ever done. And then you kind of won the game jam either way if you just learned. It's not a big deal at all if your game doesn't work. It's just part of learning how making games work. And finally, focus on learning, which I put as big as possible. I'm really trying to drill in the message of that's the point. And if you learned on your first game jam and your game was a total mess, it didn't work, that's totally cool. Second game jam, you're going to come in much more like focused, and you're going to be like, okay, last time we did this and it was a mess. Fine, let's just try and avoid that thing that made it not work. Seeing a game, like trying to do a game that was too big, not building mechanics that worked on top of another. And then in your second game jam, you're probably going to have other mistakes and learn from those and keep getting better and better, which is the best you can hope for, really. And the last part of the presentation is having fun. So making a game is kind of magic in the end. I've been kind of like talking about the worst case scenarios right now, but the next biggest takeaway is the fun you get from a game jam experience and simply making a game you can play and watch others enjoy. So what I wrote down is kind of sums it up, so I'll read it for you. But by having a focused, what did I write? No, I said by having focused on creating a simple experience that works, you'll be able to share your game with others and play it for years to come. It's more than okay if your game doesn't work. Go play other people's games, get inspired, and the next game you make will be done with a lot more experience, as I said. And the thing I want to kind of stress for this slide is I'm still playing the games, like the 6 games I made in game jams. I still play them at times just to relive the memories of what we did, see how far we've come, kind of. And most of them work and are still fun to play around with it. Because they're kind of like arcadey games, so they're just about doing a high score, having a laugh, and it's so much fun to share it with other people and seeing people laugh when they play your game, or just like getting into it, that's kind of where you feel the, I don't know, the golden part of making games, where you're like, wow, I kind of made someone have an emotional reaction to what I did. It really feels like you created art that can spark something in other people, and that's the most incredible thing. After like two or 3 days of grueling work, you'll be like, wow, it I can make something that makes people feel stuff. To me, that's kind of the best part, if the game works and all that stuff. But even if it's broken, people can really have a laugh and enjoy it. So I wish it to you, that you can make something that you reap the benefits of, and it stays for like the years to come, so it'll stay as a good souvenir for, your game making journey, wherever it takes you. And then being a good peer is half the fun. So game jams are almost always team activities. Most of the time you'll be doing games with other people, like 99% of the time that's how it works. So make the most of this by being helpful and fun to be around. So help others if you can, have fun with people, don't be too like stuck in it needs to be this way, or try to be like humble about getting critiques or advice from other people. The goal is learning. It's not to be perfect or to show that you're able to do whatever kind of game making prowess. So be available to help others in your team or outside. If people come and ask you to play test their game, go see what they do. It might inspire you to be like, oh damn, okay, they're doing this thing. We can kind of match what they're doing, and it might drive you kind of. It might inspire you to push through difficulties, and in the same breath, go ask people and mentors for advice. Once again, you might be a bit shy to go ask me or anyone else, like, can you help me with this programming thing? I don't know how it works. That's what we're there for. So fetch us by the arm, drag us around, and make us come help you. And then finally, this is the kind of, how should I say, the meanest slide of them all, but it needs to be said. So take care of yourself. We forget time and space when spending a lot of time in front of a computer, and even more when we're completely focused on making games, which is a super brain-intensive activity. So remember to take breaks, walk around, get up from your seat, stretch a little bit, drink water, stay hydrated, or else you'll just like have a headache, and it doesn't help for making your game. Brush your teeth. Take showers. That's why I put the gif of Power Wash Simulator. We tend to forget body odors when we're that focused and around other people and just spending time being focused. But once again, for other people and for yourself, stay clean. Everyone will love you for it. And then sleep. That's one thing I personally really hate about game jams, the culture of like doing all-nighters and working like tirelessly for the 2 days. It makes you less productive. It makes you in a worse mood. So just work for the day until like you did a good day of advancing. But if you go take a good night's sleep and come back, you'll be much better off on how you work for the other days of the jam. So please sleep. Don't do all-nighters. It's not really recommendable in any way. At least that's my advice. That's what I'll tell you in this Game Jam primer. I won't start you with do all-nighters. It's a bad idea. And that about sums it up. So thank you for listening. It's now time to discuss. It is not because I'm alone in front of my computer. But either way, that's kind of what you should take from it, in my humble opinion. Learn. That's what you're there for. Think. Very small but functional. Go one step at a time. Follow the kind of iterative cycle I shared. Help others. Be curious about other people's games. Take showers, brush your teeth, walk around, drink water, and have fun. Because really, to me, that's why I still want to do jams eventually. It's so much fun to craft something with people and see something emerge from your weird ideas. And yeah, that's about it. Have fun. I'll see you in the game jam, and I hope to see what your creations will be then. See you around. Bye-bye.